and I want to introduce you to an old friend. We've seen him before, and it's funny. I meet other clients in such exotic places. I never meet Dick Young anywhere but in a damp basement. We've got to cut this out, Dick. We got to meet on the beach sometime.
That would be good. How are you, John?
I'm doing fine. So what is our job today? What seems to be wrong with this house?
Well, what's wrong with the house, in the first place, there was water coming into the basement in the seam between the floor and the wall.
Okay.
And this was due to the fact that the walls are made of concrete blocks, and these blocks are hollow. There's 2 hollow cores in each block.
Right.
And the block is very porous. So what happens, the water from the ground on the outside literally seeps right through the face of the block. And when that water comes in from the outside, it gets caught in the hollow cores of the wall, drains down through the cores until that water gets to the concrete foundation that supports the wall.
All right.
So when it gets down to that footer, it can't get out. So the water fills up inside the wall and just comes into the basement anywhere that there's a weak point.
Right, because we all know water seeks that level, its own level there. It's going to find an opening somewhere.
That's true. If there's a pinhole, it comes out of it, but generally the water seeps in the seam between the floor and the wall.
How old is this house? Do you know when it was built?
No, I don't know, but my guess is it's probably 60 years old.
Okay.
In that range.
Now, you've got things sort of set up in stages for us. Let's take a look at the very early stage.
Right. The first step is to remove the concrete from the basement floor in a strip a foot wide.
Yeah.
Then we dig a trench a foot deep.
Okay.
Oops.
All right. Well, I don't want to get in anybody's way. Now, is that what they're doing over here?
Yep. What they're digging the trench at this point.
All right. So we break up the floor with the jackhammer, and then you sort of dig out this trench. How deep are we digging down there, Dick?
Well, the trench is generally dug about a foot wide and about a foot deep.
Okay.
Because we want to get down to that footer so we can drill bleeder holes into the blocks. Each block has 2 hollow cores, so there's 2 bleeder holes drilled into the block at the footer to drain the water from the wall into this trench.
Into this trench. Right.
Which eventually we put in a 3-inch base of crushed stone, new drain tiles, bury the tiles in stone, and of course reconcrete the floor.
And you bring the stone or the gravel in a large truck. I noticed that you wet it down so that it doesn't create a lot of dust.
Yeah, we really do try to be as considerate as possible to not only the homeowner but the neighborhood. So when the crushed stone comes in, it's very dry, so we wet it down to keep the dust to a minimum. All the floors are covered with a special plastic so that there's no damage to anything that we walk on.
You were even wetting down the area as the jackhammer was going in to cut down on dust.
Oh yeah, that's kept wet. We either use a broom or a rag mop soaked in water that's held on the bit of the breaker so that the dust is held right on the floor. And it just keeps the whole house a lot cleaner.
All right. Now, Dick, this is the very beginning stages, the jackhammer digging the trench. Let's go see what the next stage is.
That's fine.
Okay, now they're putting in, this is the stone you're putting in.
Yes, that's number 1 crushed. It's clean washed stone, and we can see how that's going in around the drain tiles. The tile is actually set in a bed of stone all the way around it, underneath it.
You call it tiles, but it's a pipe, right? Is that what you mean, a pipe?
Yeah, it's this is where all the confusion comes in.
You're using your own industry terminology.
There's anything that transfers water is called a tile.
Okay.
But this is actually a drain tile. That's a correct term for it, but it's a pipe. And these pipes come in 10-foot lengths. They're 4 inches in diameter. They're PVC plastic, and they're perforated. They have holes in it to let the water into the tile.
Okay. All right. And then the pipe, or the tile, I'll get into business soon here. The tile will carry the water to what? Outside drain or a sump pump? Or?
No, this carries the water into a sump pump that's already installed in the basement. Each corner gets what's called a clean out or a surface drain, and that has a perforated removable cap. Very easy for the homeowner just to pick that cap up, look right down inside the tiles. If there's ever anything getting into them, you have a port in each corner to get a snake in there, rotor-root them, do whatever you want to do.
Oh, that's great.
And you never have to open a floor again.
That's super. All right, what's our next stage, Dick? Where do we go from here?
Well, the next stage would be to continue laying the pipe and burying it with stone.
Okay.
Take that over to the sump pump, and very soon they'll be bringing in the concrete to repair the floor in the area that we opened.
Stole my next question. I was going to say, do we live with the gravel or the stone, or do you cement it down?
No, it's a very neat process where we form it. We put a form against the basement wall, pour the concrete in. As the concrete is setting, we remove the form, and this leaves a nice, neat 1/4 inch space between the floor and the wall. Now, the purpose of the space is if the fresh concrete were poured tight to the wall, it would plug up those bleeder holes that we drilled into the block, and you'd be back in the same boat you're into in the first place. So it's important to leave the space, and the space also acts as an entry for water that may come in through windows in a flooding condition or something of that nature. There's always a way for the water to get out.
That is super. Boy, you've really taken care of business in this house.
Well, we do these jobs by the thousands, literally. This is a very common process. Sometimes people think that it's a real big deal, but this job, start to finish, 90 feet in the basement, it's going to take us about 6 hours. And that includes the town permit, the town inspection. The inspector will be here in about an hour and a half, and by that time, we'll be running the concrete in.
All right. Well, the homeowner's got to have great peace of mind, because we've been out on several projects with Dick Young and his people, and boy, I tell you something, it's just amazing what we've learned about getting rid of the moisture and water and mold in your basement. Dick, thanks for having us in on this latest project.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. If you want to get in touch with Young Waterproofing, if you have any kind of a damp or mold condition in your basement, you definitely want to give them a call at 893-1939. You can go online to find out more information at www.youngwaterproofing.com. In the meantime, stay there. More of the program is on the way.
The preceding segment was sponsored, and portions of the AM and PM Buffalo program are sponsored. The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of WKBW-TV or the host.